Hey guys, I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can magnetize your ideal life. And I'm here today with special guest Nakula Das. Nakula, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me on your channel. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate our connection and us starting the Spiritual Bad Boys movement, which is part of the bigger overall semen retention movement. But our community is rocking and rolling, man. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, so Nakula and we both founded Spiritual Bad Boys, which is an online movement training men in semen retention, sex, success, and self-mastery. And we're really, working to change the world by helping men live the semen retention lifestyle. Today, Nakula and I wanted to talk about semen retention and success, how practicing semen retention helps you to achieve the lifestyle of success. So Nakula, you want to talk a little bit about your history with semen retention and how you discovered this in your life?
Yeah, sure. So, like most guys growing up in North America, I grew up, smoking weed, watching porn, just, letting it off into my sock or or
Didn't we
into
all?
the into the toilet or wherever I could find a place. Growing up and quite honestly thought nothing of it. And I always, sort of experienced. I was a self-reflective guy, always had that sort of tendency to be introspective. So I always knew that after ejaculation, I always felt a little bit down or not necessarily down as in sad, but like down, low energy. Sometimes I would feel like even a little bit depressive, especially, if I ejaculated a couple times in that day. And once I discovered semen retention, and I discovered semen retention actually when I read the book Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, which is a famous book on success, where he talks about the transmutation of sexual energy. And he didn't necessarily say semen retention, but he said the transmutation of sexual energy. And then in my own spiritual path, as I started going down the yoga philosophy and practicing yoga and mantra meditation and studying the ancient Vedic texts, they talk directly about the semen and the seed and how important it is that we retain our semen. But one thing that I never saw anybody do was talk about how to do it other than a celibate lifestyle. So in my experience, semen retention was the only thing was available is to become celibate. And since I'm not going down that road, very honestly, I was like, well, that sucks. I guess it's not for me. But being who I am, I don't take no very well. And I was like, no, there's got to be a way. And I started searching around on YouTube. Then I found this guy, and he started something called Sexual Kung Fu. You might know him. And anyways, I found you on YouTube, and I saw the practices and everything that you were doing. And I started doing some of the, just by your videos, I started doing some of them in my own life. And I started to feel my energy grow. I got onto your mailing list. I started connecting with your work. And that's when I connected with you. And I was like, man, I really want to learn more about this. And at the time, I was already having success in my life, running my business, making good money. I was on a particular path, but this practice of sexual kung fu really has empowered me because, again, I'm not a monk. I'm not a saint. I'm not giving up sex life. I'm fully in the material world, and I want to be an empowered human being. And when I heard you say that this is how you can become an empowered human being and you'll become more of yourself, I jumped on board. And man, that was what, now over a year, close to maybe a year and a half ago. And my entire life is transformed in many ways because of this practice.
Yeah, so Nakula and I, when I met Nakula, what was just over a year ago, and he became my business coach, I became his sexual kung fu coach, basically. So we were, it was kind of this mastermind of us sharing our information, and we really created something amazing. It's really what led to this spiritual bad boys movement we created, is these principles of the connection between your sexual energy and mastery of that, and being abundant, being able to create abundance and success in your life. So really seeing these things interchange and play out has been really incredible. And specifically, what changes did you notice occurred in your life practicing semen retention as far as like success you were achieving?
Yeah, well, I mean, I started achieving success in many different areas in a bigger level. First of all, in my business directly, I decided to scrap my business, which at first may be like, why is that success? But actually, it was one of the most successful moves I've made because it truly aligned with my heart. one of the things you said to me is this practice is going to make you more of who you are. And I truly feel that that has happened and is continuing to happen in my life. Like where I started losing the thoughts of, oh, what does everybody think of me? Like the reality is, because of the practice of the Hare Krishna tradition and the practice of Bhakti Yoga, where celibacy and non-sexual activity and thoughts is highly preached, I felt like, well, geez, like I'll never reach the pinnacle of this practice because, again, I'm just simply not at a point in my life where I want to give up my material goals. And I know I can get backlash from, some people and say, oh, well, that's horrible. And that, your soul's at risk. But in my heart of heart, I'm just going, well, I'm here as a human being and I want to be myself more than anything in the world. I just want to be myself and learn what does it even mean to be myself. And that's one of the major successes that semen retention has given me. It's allowed me to become powerful in myself and lose the thought process of what does everybody around think of me, and rather just experience who I am in this body and all of its mechanisms in the greatest way possible. I've lost a tremendous amount of weight and have started to put on muscle mass and become stronger. I'm fitter than I've ever been before. My energy levels are through the roof. I sleep. My sleep quota is way down, sometimes only sleeping 3-4 hours a night, but having tremendous amounts of energy. Those are just to name a few. But I have to say the biggest thing for me is that I was able to become more and more of who I am, which is slowly allowing me to live and reach my purpose. And when I say my purpose, I don't mean that in a heavy sort of way as people like get all like caught up in what is my purpose, but meaning just simply act in my nature, be who I am, and be unapologetic about who I am. This is who I am. I'm showing up in the world. I'm doing me. And I feel so successful because I'm helping more people than I've ever helped before. And at the same time, I'm doing it with less effort. Where in my business before, it was so much effort, so much, striving and, you got push. Where now things are just coming to me. I feel very much in flow and very solid in who I am.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that as well. It's like when you start cultivating your energy, you get into these, high vibrational states and you're just radiating this life force. Things just flow in your life. Like you get insights about, maybe I should do this today, and all these synchronicities occur. So there's definitely a flow. And I like the point you made about success kind of being like being able to step into who you truly are instead of thinking about what other people might view you as. Like a lot of people may think of success as being like, well, making a lot of money or having a nice car. But if you're not really in line with those ideas, then that's not really success for yourself. So I think it's more about stepping into your true purpose and unfolding your highest human potential, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like with success, it's like you said, there's such a narrow view of success. Success is how much is in your bank account and what car you drive or what neighborhood you live in. But the reality is I don't even want to live in a neighborhood per se. I want a big piece of land out in the middle of nowhere. So, and what I realized is that I wasn't being successful, even though I was going towards all of that, having the car and the house and all that stuff. It's not who I am. And I truly believe that we need to, as a society, as a culture, redefine what success is. And I feel like semen retention is the gateway to that, because for me, I didn't have the energy or the courage or the balls, I could say, to actually be who I was fully. I still sacrificed who I was, dimmed it down, maybe clouded it to fit in a mold and say, well, a traditional business coach isn't like that, so I'm not going to be like that. Or a traditional spiritual teacher isn't like this. Because, as somebody who teaches spiritual concepts, I felt this pressure to be a certain way, to be a monk, to be a saint, to be to go a celibate lifestyle, to live this sort of pure life. But the reality is I'm so entrenched in material world that is one, I don't desire that lifestyle. It is not my nature, but I felt this pressure to do that. And so therefore, no matter how much I was having success outwardly, inwardly, I never felt successful. Now I feel successful because I'm getting up every day and I'm just being me. And I think it's one of the biggest blessings I've ever received in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I like the point you make about being engaged in the physical world as well as the spiritual. You know, it's like not trying to just suppress your sexuality, because I think, in my opinion, that's a mistake a lot of people make. And that's why I really resonate with the Taoist teachings. You know, I'm not a Taoist myself, but, you know, their emphasis is like cultivating both the physical and the spiritual. So it's like, you know, it's fine to go out into the world, have sex, whatever, but at the same time, you're cultivating your spiritual destiny. You're doing everything in harmony. And to me, that's how you get the greatest fulfillment. You can still have sex, retain your semen, and, you know, be spiritually connected or whatever.
Well, and I think one of the biggest things that for me that you just said is you said, I'm not a Taoist. And I like to say that I'm like, you know, because I practice or in the Hare Krishna tradition, but in reality, I'm not a Hare Krishna. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as Hare Krishna or Christian, or these are bodily labels.
Mm.
These are labels that come with the body. And one thing that semen retention, which I think is again one of the biggest aspects of semen retention, is the spiritual benefit of realizing that all of these labels that we've placed upon ourselves or that society has placed upon us limit us. If I consider myself only to be a Hare Krishna, then what ends up being happen, and this I've seen this not just with Hare Krishnas, but with all spiritual and religious sort of sects, is that we become, close-minded to anybody else. All of a sudden, it becomes my way or the highway. This is the only path. This is the only way. This is the ultimate truth, and what you have to offer is nothing. And I've studied many different traditions, including learning lots about the Taoist tradition from you, and realizing we're all saying the same thing, people.
Oh yeah.
You know, we may be saying it in different cultural contexts. We may be saying it in different ways or have different rituals or practices, but the ultimate is to realize that we are ultimately spirit, but we are in a human body. And in a human body, I want to be an empowered human being. So I'm not interested in merging with anything. I'm not interested in going anywhere. I simply want to be in my life and live my life in an empowered way. And semen retention has allowed me to do that. And to me, that's success.
Absolutely, definitely. And I really, you know, resonate with your approach of just openness to what works, and pursuing. You're talking about other people kind of getting in this mindset of like, oh, I am this, but I'm not that. You know, I can't take on these other beliefs. You know, it's like what they call it cognitive dissonance, where it's like you're so
Right.
focused on what your beliefs are that something that conflicts with it, you're like, nope, nope. So it's like your cup becomes full, so you have nothing else to learn, and that's the moment you become rigid. And you know, the tree that's rigid breaks easily. So
I love that. The tree that's rigid breaks easily. And I'd add to that too is like one thing with semen retention, as you become more of who you are, you become more successful as in being who you are.
oh yeah.
There is this free flow where you're not this and you're not that, and I'm not really against anything or really for anything. It's just what works, what's needed at the time. And in my experience of life so far is that different things are sometimes needed at different times. So maybe you're in a place where you need to be celibate and you need to go and lock yourself in a mountain, you know, for 50 years or something. And that's what you want. Great. Or that's what's required for you. But every individual has their own nature and their own path. And I think that, as you said, when we become so rigid, success is fluid. How can we be successful if we're not fluid? You know, that's why I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee. He revolutionized karate, right? Because he said, this is all rigid, but an actual fight is fluid. You don't know what your opponent's going to do. There's this element of surprise and fluidity that comes with a fight. And I truly believe that as life, there's an element of fluidity. If you get up every day and you're so rigid and you're so stuck in your own beliefs that you can't be fluid in life, my hunch is that you are missing a tremendous amount of opportunity and spiritual growth, because you have to be open. You have to be welcoming to what comes and work with what comes. And, you know, in my experience, I am not above sex, or have transcended sex at all. I am very much driven by my sexual passions, my sexual energy, and I'm okay exploring that and being with that. And if maybe one day, by nature's will and by I transcend that, then so be it. But I'm not going for it. And I think that's one of the things about being successful is when you feel successful, at least in my experience, you're not going for anything anymore. You're not trying to get somewhere else, but for me, I'm rather just seeing what life is bringing to me and then working with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Nakula and I are teaching an online training on February 8th. It's called How to Turn Your Sex Drive into Success. And we're going to be covering basically what's keeping men from achieving success in lives and how we can learn to set goals and achieve success. And we'll be sharing some practices and some trainings for doing that. Is there anything you want to say about that, Nakula?
Yeah, make sure you guys register for the webinar. It's an hour investment of your time. All the links are in the descriptions. And I'll tell you something. If you want to be successful in your life, you can't just watch us and say, wow, that was great. You actually have to come participate. So register, because it's when you register that you're actually making a commitment. We make commitments, yes, from our words, but more through our actions. I hear people all the time saying they're committed. I'm committed to the gym. I'm committed to a better sex life. I'm committed to more money. But if I actually look at their actions, what you're committed to is comfort and playing it safe. So I encourage you to take action and register and show with your action that you're committed. And that's when the results begin to show up for you.
Talk does not cook the rice.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a link in the description of this video for the webinar. It's free, and just sign up and save your spot, and we will see you guys there. So thanks for joining me, Nakula, and check out Nakula's YouTube channel. He's got some great videos talking about semen retention and other principles of success in life. So I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And thanks for joining me, Nakula. I will talk to you soon.